Welcome back to the Corner Faster, Get Fast series. We're at Watkins Glen, getting ready for the Champ Car race at the end of this month. We'll be in ATL Speedworks Boxsters, but for the purposes of this exercise, we'll be using the virtual Cayman GT4 car in the iRacing simulator. And previously, we had a few videos where we learned the layout. There's a video about looking ahead, a warm-up session to find the min speed in each corner, as well as a video about finding the limit of grip in and out of each corner. But before we move on, now we're going to take a deep dive and look at the curbing at each corner here at Watkins Glen. So I'm just taking a look at the Google Maps. We've got curbing at the apex and track out of turn 1, at the apex of turn 2, 3, and 4 in the S's. Into the bus stop, we have 4 sets of apex curbs throughout the bus stop, and then another curb which we never really reach on the outside, which just feeds into the final apex curb. Well, never reach unless there's something pushed out there with traffic or some other issue. Got an apex curb at turn 5 running all the way around the inside, an exit curb on the outside of turn 5, an apex curb running all the way around the inside of turn 6, an exit curb, and then an apex curb running all the way around the apex of turn 7, but no curbing, just a little extra pavement at the exit of turn 7. At the heel, turn 8, we've got an apex curb running most of the way around the inside, and an exit curb with a little bit of extra pavement on the outside. We've got a long apex curb running around the inside of the off-camber turn 9, and then an exit curb just on the outside of the extra pavement at the exit of turn 9. At turn 10, we have an apex and an exit curb with a bunch of additional pavement on the outside. And then at turn 11, we have an apex curb and an exit curb which runs right up against the wall. So now let's take a look at each of those close up using the iRacing simulator. So coming into turn 1, we've got the apex curb. There's multiple layers to the curb, and even though this one is not that rough, it really only makes sense to use the lower layer, the left portion of the curb. You can see it's banked a little bit and rounded up to the top flatter portion, but that ends up taking the positive camber out of the car. Now here we have the exit curb, and it's really a few layers of paint and then a curb up top just beyond the banking of the exit of the curb. You can see the yellow paint and then the red and yellow paint, and then finally the curb up top. Now we've got the apex curb, which is scalloped. Not so bad at the beginning, but the deeper you go into the curb, the rougher it is, and the more it ends up launching the car back out to mid-track. And these run all along the inside of the S's, turns 2, 3, and 4. Coming up to the bus stop, we have perhaps the most important set of curbs on the whole track. There's 4 sets. The first one here on the inside, you can see there are multiple banking layers, basically where one edge is banked and then the top is flat, but it's pretty much the same roughness the whole way through. Same thing with the second and third curbs. It's a little bit banked on the edge and then pretty much flat up on the top of it. And then finally, same thing with the fourth curb. And you can see there's a little seam in each curb separating the 2 layers. Now we come into the outer loop, and it's kind of like the curbs in the S's, where it's a single layer of scalloped curbs that get rougher towards the inside and push the car out towards the middle of the track. Now we have a smoother exit curb for turn 5. Coming into turn 6, we have again a scalloped apex curb, rougher towards the grass on the inside, and then 2 layers of scalloped exit curbs, slightly banked and a little flatter up top. Again, around the apex curb of turn 7, more scalloped and rougher towards the inside. And then no exit curb, just the additional pavement. Up at turn 8, we're going to find pretty much that same scalloped apex curb that's around most of the corners here at Watkins. And an exit curb with some extra pavement on the outside. So it's scalloped, but it's an easy curb to straddle, put right down the center of the car. Coming into off camera, we have another scalloped apex curb and a scalloped exit curb just beyond the additional pavement. This one's not so bad since it's actually scalloped back onto the track, unlike the old curb, which was flatter at that point, although the new curb is a little rougher. We've got a scalloped apex curb at turn 10, 2 layers of curbing. It's really just paint on the other side of the scalloped exit curb for turn 10. A familiar apex curb at turn 11, and then we'll slow down here for the exit curb. We've got a finer grade curbing towards the wall, and then the rougher scalloped curb just inside of that. So it makes sense a lot of times to straddle the scalloped curb in that final corner. So now we'll do a couple demonstration laps. For much of the race, we'll be trying to stay off the curbs. So actually go to the chase view so you can get a good sense of just where the car is positioned. But if we're coming up on slower traffic, there's really no point in using the curb, and that's going to be the case a lot of the time. So we're basically going to go and use all the painted surface that we can without actually touching any of the curbs and putting any force unnecessarily into the car, into the hubs, into the tires, and really through the entire chassis. The bus stop's probably the trickiest spot where you have to actually change your line by turning in a bit later. Still end up catching the first couple inches of that first curb. But for a lot of the track, you don't really lose much time. From here on out, just a little bit of time is gained by using that exit curb at turn 5, and not so much is gained here at turn 6 by using the exit curb, and really no time is gained by using any of these scalloped banked exit apex curbs. The apex curbs just push you out to mid-corner, losing a little bit of grip. You do have to pinch the exit maybe a little bit here into the heel to avoid touching the exit curb. But not so bad because then it helps get the car fully set up and settled before the off camber. There's really not much loss at all in the off camber as long as you use the additional pavement. Do have to tighten things up a little bit in turn 10, but again, that helps just get things settled for turn 11 on the straightaway anyway. You do have to pinch the exit just a little at turn 11 to avoid any of that curbing as well. So that lap was a 156.397 on pretty hot track, 49 degrees Celsius. And now here's a demonstration lap using all of the curbs around the track for the most efficient lap possible. So in turn 1, using the lower layer of the apex curb and then quickly going all the way wide and getting the car back off of the exit curb for turn 1. Just missing the apex curbs through the S's. And then in the bus stop, using all of the first curb and then just buzzing the lower edge of the second, third, and fourth curbs. So all the way inside to use the top of the first curb. Ended up using a little more of the last curb than I wanted to. Anyway, no need to use the apex curb, but it does help to carry a little momentum onto the exit curb if you're really flying out of turn 5. And in turn 6 here, just down to the yellow line at apex, and it does help to use the first layer of the exit curb. Carry momentum onto that. Just get down to the yellow line here at the toe, and then use the extra pavement. So no need to touch any curbs through the toe. And then again, you can skip the apex curb in the heel, but it definitely helps to straddle the exit curb and then quickly bring it back to line up turn 9. Again, missed the apex curb here, just getting down to the yellow line. And then it's okay to buzz the bottom part of the exit curb if you're carrying a lot of momentum on exit. Just missed the curbing for the apex at turn 10, but then straddle the exit curb. And then I ended up using a lot more of the apex curve that I wanted, but track out all the way to the wall, straddling the rougher part of the curb. So we'll take a look at 10 and 11 just one more time through here. Skip the apex curb, straddle the exit curb, and then no need to use nearly as much of this apex curb, but straddle the rougher exit curb here, and then use the finer exit curb that runs up against the wall, keeping the right tires on the yellow line. Well, I go a little bit far here, which is definitely in a pretty dangerous spot. About to take the mirror off the car. There's no need to do that over and over in the race. A little bit of mowing the grass too. But anyway, that's how you use the curbs at Watkins Glen. There's a few that are definitely helpful, like turn 1 exit is worth a couple tenths. The bus stop curbs are worth 7 or 8 tenths alone. And then there's at least another tenth to be gained tracking out to the wall onto the front straight. So those 3 areas, if you do need to use the curbs, can lead to some pace. But again, if we're in traffic, stay off the curbs. Doesn't really make sense to put all that force through the car. And it's about 1.5 seconds a lap slower. So if you're stuck behind somebody that's multiple seconds a lap slower, again, just keep it totally on the black stuff using the paint, but no curbing. So that wraps up our extra video here, our deep dive on the curbing at Watkins Glen. Stick around for the next video where we get into braking and rotating the car in each corner. Thanks for watching.